you hear language that singles out immigrants.
And he was more angry at me than he was at the shooter.
There's no magic to the phrase radical Islam.
One of the folks on television said, boy, has Trump gotten under his skin.
Donald Trump and Barack Obama tearing into each other, exchanging accusations and insults. Trump questioning Obama's patriotism, Obama slamming Trump's anti-Muslim rhetoric. My goodness, the last 48 hours have been such that we have to bring in Keith Bogue to make all sense of this. I don't know if we can call these primary primers. We finished the last one last night. We'll have to come up with a new title. But it is good to see you this morning, Keith, on everything that's going on. The attacks continuing. We have, in this most unusual of presidential campaigns, it veering now into unprecedented territory. Let's begin with what Donald Trump has been saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has had a variety of reactions to what happened over the weekend, but one that is maybe not as well known, but nevertheless is setting the context for the way things are unfolding, was something he said to Fox Television over the telephone on Monday morning. Let's listen to that now.
Led by a man that either is not tough, not smart, or he's got something else in mind. And the something else in mind, you know, people can't believe it. People cannot they cannot believe that President Obama is acting the way he acts and can't even mention the words radical Islamic terrorism. There's something going on. It's inconceivable.
There's something going on, he says, Heather. Something going on, he says, but he doesn't say what it is. This is a classic, what we call a dog whistle, that the people he's aiming that comment at are able to understand what he's saying while it goes over the heads of most people. It did not, however, go over the head of the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, and she addressed it specifically in her remarks yesterday. Here's what she said.
He went on TV and suggested that President Obama is on the side of the terrorists. Now just think about that for a second. Even in a time of divided politics, this is way beyond anything that should be said by someone running for president.
Now, one of the things she said shortly after that was to raise the issue of birtherism again, which is something Donald Trump championed a year, 2, 3 years ago, that Barack Obama was not, in fact, an American citizen, wasn't born in America, but was, in fact, hiding something, had been born somewhere else, might even be a Muslim. This is all back in the election campaign now. It's an extraordinary thing for many reasons, not the least of which is that Republicans, mainstream Republicans, are desperately afraid of this. You know, so there's only a small minority. Well, I mean, there's a significant minority of Republicans who believe the birther story that Donald Trump has been peddling for a number of years, but the general electorate does not believe it. And we're only a little more than a month away from the Republican National Convention, and this issue comes up again, an issue that kind of made Donald Trump, you know, popular with some part of the Republican Party and a laughingstock with most of the general electorate. So this is an astonishing thing to be unfolding now.
So I want to come back to the Republicans in just a second, because even the birther issue and then beyond, the whole notion of even equating the president with sympathizing with terrorists and the broader implications of that for the Republican Party. But on this specific point, it wasn't just Hillary Clinton, it was Barack Obama himself, a full-throated attack on Donald Trump, denouncing him very, very strongly as well for playing on the United States' greatest fear. So let's listen to what Obama himself said.
There's not been a moment in my 7.5 years as president where we have not been able to pursue a strategy because we didn't use the label radical Islam. Not once has an advisor of mine said, man, if we really use that phrase, we're going to turn this whole thing around.
So there you go. It was really interesting. We're going to turn this phrase around. If we use that language, he accused Trump of yapping. So what did you hear in what the president said yesterday?
Well, like it or not, the president was addressing something because Donald Trump forced him to. Donald Trump has made a big deal out of the fact that the president and the Democratic nominee do not use the term radical Islam. So Obama was explaining why he doesn't use that term, and he laid out an argument that said this is exactly what the terrorists want us to do. They want us to validate their identity as representative of the Muslim religion, and we're not going to do that. We're not going to make this about Muslims against the Western world, and so on. But the other thing that's interesting about Obama in all of this is that he arrives at this critical moment in American history with an election going on, but with his own approval numbers now popping above 50%. That's an extraordinarily strong position for an incumbent president to be in at the end of his second term. George Bush, for instance, George W. Bush, was in the low 30s. Obama is feeling very confident now. Republicans should be worried about that. When he speaks out on these issues, naturally, because of these things, he's going to do so with a great deal more confidence. And that is something that, in juxtaposition against Donald Trump, and in concert with Hillary Clinton, who has also been very clear and strong on this issue, that is a very worrisome comparison for Republicans to be contemplating again just a month away from their own national convention.
They've already had the wall. They've had women. They've been waiting for the next big issue with Donald Trump, and here they have it in spades. So let's talk about how some of the highest-ranking Republicans are responding, how this is affecting the GOP, and how it's affecting Trump's poll numbers, Keith.
Well, first of all, you mentioned some of the Republican leadership here. They're running away from this. Yesterday, Mitch McConnell was asked to respond to what Trump had said on Fox television. He said, "I'm not talking about the candidate today." What? You know, Paul Ryan said more or less the same thing when he was asked about it, saying, "I'm not going to talk about our nominee or the president." Well, since when did he not want to talk about the president? If this is what is happening publicly, you can only imagine what is happening behind closed doors and privately. And then yesterday we saw a poll from Bloomberg that had Hillary Clinton ahead by 12 points, double digits, an astonishing number. That poll is definitely an outlier now. It may not appear to be an outlier in a week or two or three, but it's definitely an outlier now. But the trend that it represents, which is a rising Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump, is a very worrisome thing for Republicans. Again, only a month or so away from their national convention.
Keith, thank you as always.